We're going to be talking, investigating, interrogating that documentary on domestic violence. Of course, we don't want that. Joining me in the studio for a conversation, we have Cecilia Avoklia. She's a lecturer, University of Media Arts and Communication, and she's a PhD candidate, University of Ghana. And this is ahead of that premiere of The Loud Silence. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining the conversation this morning, Cecilia.
It's glad to be here this morning.
What brought you to the point where you wanted to put together this documentary? Over the years, we've seen the statistics when it comes to domestic abuse and all of that. But why this documentary? Why now?
Okay. So as a PhD candidate, I won the scholarship. And the scholarship was focusing on the Sustainable Development Goal 5. That was gender equity and women's empowerment. So we're all supposed to work within that radius. And growing up, I have seen a lot of domestic violence cases that are very open, but then people don't talk about it. So when I decided to go into doing this documentary, the first thing I asked myself was, we have seen it, but people are not talking about it. And hence the title, The Loud Silence, because there's this silence about it that people don't talk about. And for the documentary, it's just to interrogate, why are people not talking about it? And so going ahead with the documentary, I found three things that were holding people from speaking. One was culturally, two was social, and three was religion. And so we'll talk about that
So
more,
culture, society, and religion. Let's talk about it now. We have limited time.
Yes. So religion,
get into those three for me.
Yes. So religion, I spoke to the traditional priest, I spoke to a pastor, and I spoke to an imam. One of the problems is that most of our pastors in Ghana are pastors but are not trained marriage counselors. And so when
Yet they play the role anyway.
Exactly, perfectly. So when there are issues of domestic violence or abuse, they are not handled properly. Again, when you take the Bible, we always say God says he hates divorce. And so in the documentary, Apostle Leon Kofi mentioned that God said he hates injustice, but he didn't say that if you are dying, you should stay in the marriage. And so it is, God hates divorce, but not in the sense that you are in it and you are dying. And then with the imam, he also mentioned that there are imams who are also not marriage counselors, but because of their roles as imams, they take on marriage issues and sometimes are not able to handle them well. And so, but again, in Islam, the marriage is in the hand of the man.
Right.
Yeah. So these are some of the issues that came up.
You know, it's interesting you've brought this up because on all fronts, I have experienced, I have a friend who is Muslim and things happened. And like you said, the imams will tell you, oh, go back and all of that. Some of these are egregious, like serious.
Exactly.
A man who had done, I can't get into some of those things. Again, on the Christian front, it is saying, I am, you know, very Catholic, and of course we don't support this. But I say if you're going to die in there, that's not God's plan for your life. So, and on the traditional front, you know, some of the local practices, from Tokoshi to the rest, where some people would be bonded and they have to pay for the sins of others. So it makes a lot of sense. But what can we expect as far as this premiere? It's tomorrow, right?
Yes, it's tomorrow at 6 p.m. at NAFTI Hostel, East Cantonment, close to the American Embassy. I think that I wanted to open a discourse where there's a discussion about the issue and see how we can get society to accept victims, where we are not being judgmental, that someone goes through an abuse and can't be open because the system is not supportive. Where you are being abused, and when you speak about it, everybody victimizes you again. And so I'm just looking for this opportunity for us to all have this discussion and see how we can support victims, how we can give voice to the victims, and how we can get the system to be working. Because yes, Ghana is working on paper. The Domestic Violence Act have been passed since 2007. The Criminal Code Acts have been passed, but on the grounds, what is happening? Can we have a discussion?
Well, we celebrate you for the good work you're doing, and we support you.
Thank you.
We wish you the very best on that front. So look forward to it tomorrow. NAFTI Hostel, East Cantonments. Cecilia Avoklia. She's a lecturer, University of Media Arts and Communication, and a PhD candidate at the University of Ghana. She's going to be premiering that documentary on domestic abuse, The Loud Silence.